I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with Mike Cotton, who serves as the Senior Vice President of Engineering for Digital Defense. Welcome, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Ed.
How's everything going, all right?
Yeah, glad to be here.
I'm glad. Hey, listen, to start, why don't you just real briefly tell us what you guys do at Digital Defense, and then I want to get into some tech trends and security trends and some predictions, but just give us a summary of the company first.
Yeah. So Digital Defense really focuses on kind of next-gen vulnerability management, and we also do we do some security consulting and penetration testing work. So we like to try to kind of think like an attacker, help simulate those tactics, and then give people tools and products that they can use to secure their networks against those tactics.
And you guys have been in business a long time, but over 2 decades,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So the company started about 20 years ago. Originally, our focus was really more on the penetration testing side, and then we brought in a lot of engineering talent and decided, hey, let's go ahead and not just demonstrate over and over again how to get into networks, but help people lock them down. And so that's kind of a big part of our business and our focus now. So.
I always admire that because there's so many new security companies. You can measure them per hour now instead of per day.
Yeah.
There's so many new ones that when I see companies that have been in it for 2 decades, I know you guys are in it for the right reason.
Yeah.
You've been at it for a while.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually something I've seen a lot of companies have had to be careful now, because sometimes they'll purchase a product from a security company and then the company will get gobbled up, but not for the product. They want to add it to the business line, and then everything changes. And so, you want some stability. So.
These weird acqui-hires where you buy the company and then the whole company dissolves. Where did they all go?
Very
and they all
common.
just got rolled into a dev or engineering team. That does happen a lot. And you're right, it could be a little frustrating. But good. Well, welcome to New York. Now, you guys are out talking to clients all the time. I know you're here in New York talking to some customers. What are some of the big themes that come up, and themes that are, as the engineering guy, that you try and build into the platform to support these engagements that you guys work with your clients?
So one of the things that we really focus on in our product in a big way is a fully integrated cloud vulnerability scanning and management solution. So there's been a paradigm shift now, whereas companies about 3 or 4 years ago, they were kind of playing with the cloud, or they had some systems up, and now they're going full bore. All the systems are going up. It's not just an outpost or a couple of products now, everything's going up. And so what we did is we worked with Amazon recently and came out with a specialized security appliance for Amazon that ties into our platform. Then we did the same thing with Azure, and we're currently working with Google on the same sort of offering. And what these appliances do is they essentially audit systems in a more comprehensive fashion. It's not just throwing packets blindly across a network anymore. We're actually tying into the cloud APIs and being able to kind of fully enumerate, your cloud infrastructure and present like a true view of your security risk. And so that's one of the major things that we're doing with our product right now.
Can you go like into the Amazon marketplaces, drop the appliance down? So,
yeah.
So it must be pretty easy.
Drop it in. So you can actually just download it, activate it, and then it comes online, and then you can use it to go ahead and do scanning on your network. So we have it available for our clients, but we also have trials available if people want to just give it a shot. So,
has it been your observation that people tend to be multi-cloud, like just sort of being somewhat promiscuous with different vendors?
Yeah, it is. No, that's a good insight. It happens. Originally, I didn't think it would, and in the very early or the earlier days of cloud, it wasn't the case. But what it seems to have happened is a lot of times the engineering side will prefer one vendor, and the IT side will prefer another. Like a lot of times, IT's got a deep Microsoft relationship just based on their Office networks, and so they're getting a bunch of Azure credits. They want to bring their Azure systems up to the cloud, whereas sometimes because AWS was out a little ahead of the other vendors in their build-outs, a lot of times the engineering side latched onto that, and so this is actually happening quite a bit now. In fact, even when I talk to government sources and major corporations, they always want assurances that now that we can do both. We can actually, whereas we didn't used to get that question. They would usually say, this is our preferred vendor, just check the box here. And now they say, just make sure we can talk to all the clouds.
Got it. So cloud is one. Well, what other themes are important in your design work?
Yeah, so another important thing that we're working on with our platform, and we see it as a point of differentiation, is kind of real-time security intelligence, but bi-directional from our platform. So, traditionally the knock on both the space we're in, which is vulnerability management, and other spaces within security, is that the data is siloed. It's in a bucket. You can kind of go into a system and read about it and kind of process it, but all your different systems aren't talking to each other in an intelligent fashion. And so we recently did an integration with Palo Alto Cortex, which is Palo Alto's kind of cloud-based, threat intelligence bus, and then Cisco ISE, which is similar. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to integrate our Frontline.cloud platform so we could go ahead and actually get information from them and bring it into our platform. But if we knew about weakness on a system, we could also export that out so the firewall and endpoint protection softwares which hook into that can be aware of it as well. So the idea is if you're seeing signs of compromise on something or some suspicious activity, you can say, okay, I don't just have to look at this in an isolated fashion. Tell me more about the system. How vulnerable is it to attack? Maybe if the Java process is doing something funny, and then you kind of peer into the threat intelligence side and you see, it has a ton of unpatched Java vulnerabilities. Things start to make sense. It gives you a more complete picture.
So this is a whole collection of sort of interconnections with partners. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Or data going back and forth?
Yeah. So another thing we do is we take information in from VirusTotal. That helps enrich our vulnerability ecosystem where we can tie things back to certain VirusTotal entries. We also bring in information from kind of prominent exploit databases, and so.
You have to normalize all that, I would imagine.
Yeah,
right?
we do, but there are
and
mechanisms we have of bringing it in an efficient format, and it is something though where it's all about getting the data, basically getting rid of the old paradigm where you'd have a few employees dedicated to patching systems or securing things in a corner, but they weren't necessarily talking to the guys who were doing threat prevention or working on the endpoint side. And so we really want all those systems talking together because it shrinks your workload and gives you a much more actionable data flow. So when you have all that data.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys announced that some deception-related stuff recently. I thought that looked cool. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So that's something, it's kind of building on some of our integrated security things we've been working. And so the way that works, I think we recently announced an integration with Ativo, who's a deception vendor. And so that's a cool integration. The way that works is in the event that you have kind of some systems which have vulnerabilities that we detect, and you also have their product, and this integration is active, it can automatically spin up decoys, on demand in the, like we'd love for you to fix every vulnerability and to patch everything in real time, but in the event that you can't, and we understand that, what it does is it presents a realistic kind of alternative attack surface, that can kind of mask what the true vulnerable system is. So it gives you a form of mitigation to a certain extent, which kind of helps helps until you can get to it. You've at least have a little bit of defense. It's much harder for the attacker to find, hey, this is the true node that I should be going after, and if they pick a false one, alarm bells go off all over the place. So it's a great way to sort of reduce risk or mitigate risk to a certain extent, and help automate your workload a little bit more.
So Mike, I want you to now think maybe 5 years out. You're so busy now. It's probably sometimes it's hard when you do engineering. You got all these demands on you, like today. But if you took out a crystal ball and looked into it, thought 5 years from now, what would you and I be talking about? What would be the topics in the context of vulnerability management and cybersecurity in general?
I think 5 years from now, and we're starting to lay the groundwork in some of our with us in our product lines right now, but not to the point that it will be 5 years out. But I think the big things are basically kind of smarter, better security through massive automation. It's something where you want these systems all communicating with each other such that in the event a vulnerability or configuration issue is detected, it's detected in real time, and then there is some sort of a smart automated response. Now maybe due to stability it can't be patching the system or turning off the service,
or maybe it can be,
or maybe it can be. Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, depending on I think the way this would probably work is there would be some human input into the system, but at more of a kind of high functioning executive level. Curated, so such that you can kind of give broad directives. For these systems, it's okay to shut off services. For these systems, it's got to stay online, but maybe you can up, the firewall paranoia for these types of vectors. And so some way that there is always a smart response. It may not completely eliminate security risk, but it happens in real time, and that's not just for a static set of systems, because with cloud ecosystems things are coming up and down all the time, and so it has to be kind of fully integrated and a continuous live vulnerability and remediation view that happens in real time. So
that's awesome. I totally agree with the automation prediction. In fact, I think you're going to see it become not even a luxury, but a necessity, because imitation attacks and botnets and other automation on the offensive side have gotten to the point now where they're just about to bloom. And if you don't automate the defense, God help you.
We've seen some real eye-opening incidents where, a lot of, in the kind of early days when, not in the early days, in recent years, we've actually seen fully automated attacks where a vector or a set of keys will leak on GitHub, and people have actually set up bots now to look for certain, secret keys and automated tokens, such that the minute they hit GitHub, bots spin up, launch automated attacks everywhere that the target set makes sense, which is really amazing. And I mean, we've gotten to the point where it used to be months before an attacker exploits to weeks to now we're getting to fully real-time automated attack the minute your stuff leaks. So it's the defense has got to get there too, and the gap is shrinking, but it's not all the way there yet.
You must see some crazy stuff in the work that you do, because you guys kind of do.
Yeah.
But you continue to support some pen testing work, and then all the VM platform. What are some crazy things you see? I bet you've seen some pretty crazy ones.
I think people ask me kind of over beers, for war stories and things like that. I mean, I think one of the high-profile incidents we worked was in we're working on a very large corporation, extremely secure network,
critical infrastructure,
critical,
kind of stuff.
very critical infrastructure, and we actually had some threat findings trigger, like there are Trojans here that are unseen, they're going undetected, and so we're a little skeptical of the finding first when we saw it.
Did they have weak security, or did they have like all the usual stuff?
They had a on-site, NetOps team from military contractor,
so really good,
major endpoint
security,
vendor software. So I mean, it was something where, we basically said, okay, well, they understandably said we'll need confirmation. People are saying there's no way, but what we found, the Trojan we found had a capability of taking screenshots, and so we actually said, okay, well, here's the screenshots, so they're
when that happens,
there.
and then you look and you see that they didn't do all the basics, then it all makes sense.
Yeah,
but when they do all the basics, it kind of freaks you out, right?
Yeah,
you think, wow.
I mean, the story's often a little more complicated than like we had everything configured, we had everything installed, but we had to revert this VM to a snapshot, and that broke the endpoint uplink, so it wasn't updating, and then this thing, and then it got compromised, and then the house of cards fell down. So it's
well, I hope you fixed it.
It was something, but it's eye-opening. I mean, a lot of things that we see, you think from the outside with this level of spend and all these big logos, surely you're locked down, at least here, and not always the case. So
you enjoying your time at Digital Defense?
Yeah.
You've been there a decade and a half yourself, right?
No, I've
Good
been
for
there a
you.
while, but it's great. I mean, it's something where, something I always wanted was to go from working on one network, helping one company secure their network, to being able to see lots of different things, like lots of different things across the industry and understand kind of broadly where do people struggle and how do attackers penetrate networks, and I get that opportunity, which is really cool.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. I know
Yep.
you had a busy trip here into New York, and I really do appreciate you spending some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
No,
come
glad to
back
be
and
here.
visit sometime.
Okay, will do.
Nice
We'll do,
to see you,
deal.
Mike.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yep.
And we will see you next time.